A few weeks ago, guys, I reviewed the Anbernic RG350, which is a very nice little retro handheld gaming system. I was very happy with this system. You know, I think it's got great controls, great buttons. It can only emulate, though, up to the PS1. And I was quite happy with that, but I got a lot of comments in the on that video telling me that I need to check out the Retroid Pocket 2. Now, I got the Retroid Pocket 2, and I gotta say I'm disappointed with it. Let me tell you why it's supposed to be so good, and then I'll talk about why I don't like it. So the thing about the Retroid Pocket 2 is it can emulate Dreamcast, N64, PSP, DS, and it's based on Android system. So you've got Android games available as well, which is awesome. You know, there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of good things on here to like about it. It's also, you can put it to sleep, kind of like the PSP or Vita, and just pick up and resume from where you left off. So, you know, at high level, when I heard about that, it's like, that's amazing. I started to regret buying the 350. And so my plan actually was, when I get this one, I would do a giveaway and give away the 350. But I'm not going to do that, because actually I prefer the 350 in a lot of ways. So I guess first, let me talk about the hardware of the Retroid Pocket 2. So you've got usual D-pad, you've got analog stick. It comes in a lot of colors, which is really cool. So I got the SNES controller colors, but there's a lot of options in terms of the colors of it, which again is pretty cool. The second analog stick, it's not really a stick, it's a nub, which feels really rubbish to use. It's like, imagine the PSP nub, but it feels worse. It feels kind of stiffer and just not great to kind of hold and use. It's got shoulder buttons, the R1, R2, L1, L2. But again, this is the problem with this one, is so the R1 and L1 are fine. You know, they feel clicky, they feel responsive, which is great. The R2 and L2 are a little bit too stiff. They don't feel great. I also don't like how they stick out. So kind of like the Switch, they stick out on the side, which is not great. It's not a great design choice on the Switch. And then for putting it in my pocket, again, I didn't really like the fact that it had that. In terms of the D-pad and the buttons, they don't feel great. It feels very kind of sunk in, the D-pad, and the buttons, again, they feel very kind of sunk in. They don't feel good to press. Compared to the Anbernic 350, where the buttons just feel a lot better. The Anbernic has got clickable analog sticks, and again, the D-pad here is kind of like it feels like the NES D-pad. It's quite, you know, well designed. It feels good to use and control. So, you know, I guess off the bat, the Retroid Pocket 2 has not impressed me in terms of the controls, but also it feels it's bigger than the 350. Not a huge amount bigger, to be fair, but it feels lighter and more plasticky. And I've got the original 350, which is plastic, but it's got some heft to it, and it just feels better. It's got a bit of a curved back. It feels better to hold. Whereas this, it just feels really kind of lightweight and just a bit like a toy, really, rather than kind of a good gaming system that I would want to be using frequently. So, you know, that's the first part of this this review. In terms of the controls, the feel of the system, I'm not impressed. So, you know, when I first picked it up, I thought, actually, this is not it didn't feel good compared to the 350. So I was expecting better. Now, in terms of emulation, it's not actually very good at emulating PSP, Dreamcast, or N64 games. So I tested out a few games, I messed around with the settings, tried to follow some guides on the internet. It doesn't emulate them well. And this was really disappointing. Like, if they're going to advertise this system as you know, a system to play Dreamcast and N64 games, it should play it well. I tested out some games, and so, for example, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike on the Dreamcast, that played pretty well. That wasn't too bad. But then something like Soul Calibur was just really slow. Tested some PSP games. Third Birthday was okay, a little bit slow, but it's fine. Tested God of War, Ghost of Sparta, unplayable, really, really slow. N64, tested Mario 64, that was fine. Paper Mario, unplayable. You know, so off the bat, it's, you know, I haven't tested, you know, hundreds of games, but it's kind of already left me disappointed in terms of what this system can do. So that's not a great start. It's got RetroArch built in. It's got other emulators as well that you can use, and it's Android, so you can download more emulators. You know, when it comes to SNES, Mega Drive games, it's fine. You know, but that shouldn't be a problem anyway. I think the fact that they advertise it as playing N64 Dreamcast games and it doesn't play them well, it just really is a disappointment for me. One thing cool though, I gotta admit, is the fact that it's on Android, so you can download Android games onto it, which is great. Problem with that though is that it's only got 4 gigs of memory on the actual system itself. About 4.4 gigs available when total, and around about 1.5, 2 gigs was used up by the apps already on the system. So you don't have a lot of room on it. And when you want to download a game from the Google Play Store, you need to have that amount of space for that game. And then you can attach your card, sort of install your SD card as memory. But you have to be able to download the full game onto the system's hard drive. Now, I tried to download Knights of the Old Republic. I hadn't played it before. I thought, oh, this would be cool. I can finally play it on a handheld. And it would not fit on the system. So it's like one of the key things about it is being able to play Android games, and suddenly, because it's got such a small memory on it, it's like you can't download it because it needs to download onto the hard drive and then move on to the SD card. So that was just very frustrating. It's just kind of another like little thing that just kind of is a failure on it. A little problem with this. You can use it for things like Moonlight, so streaming from Steam from your PC onto this. I also tried looking at, you can download the PS4 Remote Play app. I haven't tried actually hooking it up to my PS4 and playing Remote Play, but theoretically it should work. But really, I'm just disappointed in this. I wanted a system that would almost, that would replace this. To replace the 350 and be my retro gaming system and be my kind of emulation system. But I'm not going to play N64 games on it. I'm not going to play PSP or Dreamcast games. And it just doesn't feel good to play games generally. So yeah, I'm very, I'm surprised it's been getting so much positive buzz, because I'm just not impressed with it. I think if you want kind of a cheap system for retro gaming, then I think the 350 is great. And they've got 2 other models of it, and the upgraded model is coming out soon as well, which will play more consoles. But actually, I think the Vita, a hacked Vita, which can play PSP games, of course, it can play not Dreamcast, N64 games. Maybe we'll get Dreamcast games eventually playable. But I think a hacked Vita and plus one of these just for kind of cheap outings, cheap kind of gameplay, I think that's more than enough. So yeah, unfortunately, I can't recommend this system. Just not overly impressed with it. So guys, let me know in the comments. I listened to you guys. I got the Retroid Pocket 2 after all the recommendations, but yeah, it's just I'm not impressed with this system, unfortunately. So guys, let me know in the comments, have you played the Retroid Pocket 2? What did you think about it compared to the 350 or the 350M or 350p? Leave a comment below, and as always, thanks for watching.